Welcome to Gold and Black Live, and it is our final show of the year of our 11th season of this live stream. And we are fortunate to have a person as our first guest today. Trey Kaufman-Renn needs no introduction to Purdue fans already, and he's on the front end of what hopefully for Purdue folks will be a great career in West Lafayette. I want to thank our sponsors, XXX and Hilton Garden Inn, State Farm agent Trent Johnson, and of course, WLFI too, for all that they do to make this happen. Trey, welcome to the show. We appreciate you very much taking the time to do this. Fresh off a state championship last weekend. 2 weekends ago. I'm sorry, my calendar's all screwed up. But welcome, and I know there's a lot going on when you're a senior in high school and getting ready to go off to college. But exciting times for you.
Yeah, no, for sure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. When you look at coming to Purdue and that opportunity, just as a college student, what give us a little bit of what you want to major in, and and this is the old man speaking here, but academic standard, what kind of things do you want to study when you come to Purdue, and what suits your fancy about academics there in West Lafayette?
Yeah, well, I'm not 100% sure. I think I want to major in physics, but again, I'm not 100% sure. I really want to focus on basketball as much as possible and get as good as that as I can be. So, but if I had to choose right now, it would be physics.
Yeah.
Hey, Trey, let's talk about that state title here real quick. Obviously, that was a pretty hard-fought win you got over Park Heritage. You guys won a bunch of close games in the state tournament. Just how satisfying was all of that? And did it mean a little bit more with everything that kind of went into this season, not even knowing you were going to have a season there for a while? And just how important was all of that to you?
I think it was super important just for our team. Losing Betts last year and not being able to win the state championship with him, that was a big thing for me, kind of emotionally, just because how good of friends we are. So just to do it for him and do it for the guys that came back again, that's what it was all about.
Go ahead, Brian, if you want to fire back up.
What was this season like? Having to play a high school season, having to play a senior season, during a pandemic. Probably getting in your car every now and then to go to the game, hoping the game is still on. Kind of things like that.
This season was really a struggle for me personally, as well as our team. For me, obviously missing the first 5 games due to the ankle injury and not being able to, I was kind of thrown right back in after that. My first game was Jeff, so I didn't really get a time to kind of, build myself back up and, get all of my athleticism back and get all of, my capabilities back. But just being able to, some other guys on our team had the same thing. So just dealing with adversity, I think that was the biggest thing with this season. That's it's the first time I've experienced just all the adversity that we had. I mean, obviously you can't predict COVID and what that's going to do to your season, but just with the amount of injuries and different players in the rotation, it was definitely different this year.
Right.
Have you been going to school in person, or have you done remote, or how has that been from just on a personal level?
I have been doing virtual this year.
Yeah. And how has that been in terms of, you do that and then you go to practice and being able to do that, and kind of what Brian touched on, the whole COVID experience. What are you going to take away from all this, maybe 3 years, 5 years down the road or 10 years down the road, having had this difficult experience that everybody in the world had to deal with?
Right. It was definitely different. For me, I enjoyed it a little bit just because I got to, kind of do school, but also train. I got to go to my trainer's place and kind of stay up there for the day. But then obviously not seeing your friends at school, going through your normal routine, that was obviously different and something that, I'll think about as years to come.
Yeah.
Trey, one kind of common denominator between you and Furst is you both come from really successful high school programs. You both won a lot of games and whatnot. How important, I guess, how much does it help you moving to the next level into a winning culture to have been part of one in high school? And what does that do for kind of like what you expect of yourself and just kind of what you expect from basketball in general?
I've played on different AAU teams and and been around different situations. And when you have a winning culture, it's just different. You have different expectations than everybody else does. And I think, me, obviously I can't speak for First, or Caleb, but I can, by playing against him and knowing his coach and knowing his teammates, they definitely have a lot of expectations for him and their program as well. So I think the biggest thing is just accountability and knowing that you have to perform every night because you have a target on your back. I think that's the biggest thing. And so I'm excited to go into another position like that. And grateful for that.
I think that's one of the best things, obviously, that Purdue has going for it is its culture, and you're walking into a group that expects to win and seems to, at least from my perspective, everybody gets along, but everybody's pretty competitive. That makes for a good situation, I would think, for you walking into that, knowing that you're going to be expected to play well if you're going to get time, so to speak. But then again, that's kind of what you're used to.
Right. No, exactly. I don't want to go somewhere where I was just going to be given minutes. I want to go somewhere where I was going to learn and, probably not be the best right away, and take tips from other guys and take tips from coaches and get better, because that's what it's all about.
Trey, just kind of going back to recruiting real quick, what, I guess, kept Purdue top of mind for you? You had a lot of really high profile people come at you. You had a lot of people obviously recruit you very hard and whatnot, but it seemed like you really liked Purdue from the beginning. You'd been able to get on campus a couple times, and then that kind of remained the case. What was it about Purdue that sort of kept them strong with you the whole time?
I think it's two things really. I think it's a little bit of their style for sure. I think I can thrive in the system that they have, and the system that they've used in the past. But also, like we've been talking about, their culture there. I just think I fit right in with, not only their expectations on the floor, but also academic wise.
What's that say about you as a person, that's the kind of stuff that resonated with you very early in the process, whereas a lot of guys would get their socks knocked off when, in North Carolina's calling them or something like that. It seems like you were looking for things early on that maybe a lot of guys, sort of glance right over or don't even recognize in the first place.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm not really sure. But everybody has a different take on how they go through their recruiting and, what they're looking for in a college and what they think. So those are things that were valuable to me, but obviously I can't speak for every kid that's going through a recruiting experience.
What was it like getting recruited during a pandemic?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, during a pandemic, it was a lot of Zoom calls. It was a lot of, which actually helped me a little bit because I'm not a very social person. Not a big social interaction kind of guy. So being over Zoom kind of helped me, but it's hard to tell because that's the only experience that I've had really on the recruiting trail. But like I said, just a lot of Zoom calls, a lot of different calls, whether it was like a virtual tour or just everything had to be online. I mean, I think that was the biggest thing. It was almost the same thing with school. So instead of going in person, you had to figure out, maneuver your way through online and Zoom calls and just online space.
Did you feel like you got enough of the experience then? Don't feel cheated at all. Obviously, it wasn't the worst of the world's problems during this whole debacle, but do you feel like you got a pretty meaningful recruiting experience anyway?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think I, obviously chose the right place, so I'm happy with how it went.
All right, your colleague or classmate, I should say, Caleb Furst, will join you as well. I guess first, you've seen him, obviously been around him on the high school level and also seen him over the years. Give us a scouting report on Caleb Furst and what you like about him, and then maybe as a quick follow-up to Mr. Basketball's coming up. You guys are candidates 1 and 2 for that. What does that mean to you?
Okay, so I guess
scouting
first
report.
question.
Scouting report on Caleb. Sorry.
Scouting report on Caleb. So I think the biggest thing is what we talked about earlier, just his wanting to win. You see a lot of players who try to go for their stats or try to go for, certain accolades, and that doesn't seem like somebody who he is. I've got a chance to, obviously I played with him in was it Battle of the Brands, played against him Battle of the Brands, but also played against them in Dallas. Went to some kind of camp or something like that. So just being around him and knowing the personality he is, he's going to do whatever it takes for his team to win. And I think that's a characteristic that sets, a lot of people apart from each other. Obviously, you guys know what he can do skill wise. I mean, he's one of the best players in the state. So that's the thing that really stands out for me. And then the other question was
Mr. Basketball. Just on you guys are the two front runners for that. It's a huge honor, obviously, in the state of Indiana, and you're one of the state of Indiana's best. What does it mean to you, at least, to even be considered that far down the road?
Right. No, it's cool, like you said, to even be considered. Obviously, I told him, if I don't win it, I hope you win it.
Yeah.
So we have, one of us is going to Purdue, but for me, it's all about, winning. So I got what I wanted out of the year for sure in the state championship. But obviously, if you could win Mr. Basketball, that'd be cool as well.
Yeah. Trey, during the pandemic, I can't imagine a player having a more productive pandemic than you had, because it seemed to me, having seen you play a bunch of times, that you went in as one player, you came out as a pretty different player with what you're able to do with your body and whatnot. What's kind of the emphasis now that your high school career is over and you're preparing for Purdue? What do you start working on and whatnot to put yourself in the best position you can be in?
Yeah, so that's actually a pretty heavy question. So I talked to Gavin, as far as the athletic trainer at Purdue, but also Coach Painter and Coach Brantley, to see what they expected out of me. So obviously being able to play defense, that's something that I'm for sure focusing on, being able to slide with smaller players. But really, I think right now I'm just kind of trying to get back to where I was before my kind of ankle injury. I would say there's some things that, like I said, because I went straight back into playing, I didn't get a chance to rebuild some of the things. So I'm trying to get that, a little bit of that back and continue to build the foundation. I think, obviously the guy I'm working with, one of my best friends, he talks about all the great work Gavin's going to do with me there. So if I can just go in there healthy, go in there, moving well, I can kind of take off from there.
Yeah. From a physical standpoint, I mean, is there a particular, is it strength? Is it the ability for quick leaping ability? What do you want to work on? If you're going to say, I need to improve this from a physical standpoint, what do you think that is?
From a physical standpoint, I think explosiveness a little bit right now would be something that I would want to improve. But like I said, right now I'm a big guy in planning, so obviously there's steps that you have to take to get there. So like I said, right now we're trying to focus on the foundation to where once I, I'm stable enough and strong enough, we can start working on some more explosiveness things. Obviously, like I said, being able to slide for smaller guards, that would be, something that I'm also working on. So at the next level, you can use, obviously.
You're obviously a guy who might be able to play a couple of different positions at the next level. Matt Painter actually just yesterday said, when you're a freshman and you want to play a couple different spots, the most important part is you be able to learn quickly when you get to campus. Just how important is the summer going to be for you in that sense? And obviously the fact that this summer, unlike last summer, is going to actually be something close to normal. I guess the importance of these next couple months after you get to Purdue, or the first couple months after you get to Purdue.
Yeah, well, I think for me, an advantage that I do have is I do think I learn pretty quickly, just for the fact that how much I love basketball and love the game. And so, I find joy in learning the systems and what we're going to do. So I don't think that'll be that much of a problem. And, so as long as I can go up there and, like you said, have an open mind and learn as much as possible from the guys and from the coaches, I think it's going to kind of take off from there.
My last question, I'll let Brian ask one more, but tell me a little bit about yourself in terms of, I mean, basketball is obviously a tremendous focus on your life, and I get that. And you're obviously good enough academically to consider physics, but what else do you like to do? Are you, if in your downtime, are you a reader? Are you a Netflix watcher? Are you a game player? What is it that, at least in your quiet moments, that there's something else that you like to have consumed some of your time at least?
Right. A lot of it's eating and sleeping, and I'll watch YouTube every once in a while. I'll do that, but I'm a pretty boring person, I would say. I really like basketball, and like I said, I like basketball not only to get better, but just to see like a different way. Like, I watch basketball for fun, not just to get better. So I wish I could give you something like a play Fortnite or go fishing or something, better than that, but that's really all I do.
That's all good. Brian, your last question for Trey.
Purdue's going to be one of the, probably preseason front runners in the Big Ten next year. A lot of these rankings this early on are showing them as like a top 10, top 15 type of team. How do you feel like you can help right away? And what's going to have to work for you in order to be able to help them right away, you feel like?
I think it's really finding my role, because, just the type of player I am is just so versatile. So figuring out, going in what they need and being able to focus on that is how I think personally that I'm going to help. Like you said, Purdue doesn't need, it's not like they need anybody else right now. They obviously have a great basketball team. So for me, like I said, it's going in and figuring out exactly what Coach Painter, Coach Brantley, what all the guys want me to do, and filling my role from there. Whether that's, pulling out chairs for guys or, starting day one, whatever it is, that's what I'm there to do.
You passed your first interview with us, man. That's I know you've had other ones with Brian, but we appreciate your time very much, especially with all that you have going on in your life. And we look forward to your arrival in West Lafayette sooner than later, as it's going to be. Have a good rest of your senior year in high school, and enjoy high school graduation. And we'll look forward to seeing you in West Lafayette when you get here.
Yep, for sure. Thanks again,
so
guys.
much, Trey.
All right, well, stay tuned for the next couple of minutes. We'll be back with our second segment of Gold and Black Live.